should be up.
So do you have to pay your crew to,
5 minutes, right?
5 minutes? If that's what it takes, I could do it in 5 minutes. I could talk
This is
to
the
them.
quickest it's come up so far.
short and sweet?
Yeah.
Chris, you were looking for me before, did you?
Oh, I'm okay though.
Steve,
I'm okay, thanks.
regardless of whether or not this lady has a solution, I want you to know this.
Good morning, I mean, good afternoon.
Yeah, we're right.
It's been a long day
It's been a
already.
long day at the zoo.
Oh, I heard it. I could see it.
I was at a funeral.
Oh, really? Was it a family friend?
Neighbor, Mrs. Forsberg. We've been friends for
I know that name. That's cool. Well, it must have come up. I think I forgot. I used the last couple of years, the last time. That seems like a little more
So Craig, I just.
like Caribbean or something.
Florida.
Well, they've been paying
Decided to go move into it.
for 2 months.
Did she go to Wakefield or?
So I was this morning helping set up for the luncheon. I asked Burial,
Yeah. It was a long day.
because I had my nephew was late this weekend.
Wow, so you're just like.
Oh, really? Stayed over at?
Had to get him back to Lincoln this morning, 6:40.
Come on.
Yeah.
Let me sleep in.
Oh,
Sleep in.
hello,
Get my PowerPoint for Tim. You're not buying it, are you?
I already went through the quiz. You got near him, Tim.
Not on there, yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I mean,
He's got a little garden shed.
She's from the Pacific Northwest, right? She knows I'm not gonna leave.
You didn't want to give 8 cents more money?
I paid $200
How many?
Five. And 2 data packages.
Yeah. Did they make you guys go to a shared data printer too? Because that's my brother got it. Last one, and they made us all do.
Blank, blank. I don't think it's gonna get that good, but still.
And you gotta be right on it.
Well, I'll tell you what, we went up,
There's not the boiler room.
That's the fastest it's come up yet.
1800.
But then, you know, it'll be the day when it's, you forget to start it until the minute before.
No, no, 8 to 10 minutes. This one took about 7.
they're working out just so I can take it all.
Hold up on yours, Tom. You said it was up.
The spring?
Yeah.
Stuff in and out of the double closet every day. And that's a better location or better situation.
Good show presentation.
You know, it's amazing, and you can turn off the phone.
Oh, where's the video?
Yeah, I'm just gonna sign up tomorrow. I like the new theme.
See, this used to always say accord.
Yeah, now it's official.
Actually, the next generation is working on it.
Oh, really? Because now it's like,
You know what, guys, I'm here, you right there, right? Right here. Okay, who's here? This spot.
Settle down, I feel antsy, so there's like nothing to do.
There's the Mac.
Yep.
There's the PC.
It's hard. It is.
This is not long watch. So when you stay here, already 30 seconds to it. Every second. You get more to share. So, boom, boom, boom. Every stroke.
Email that.
Yeah, I get to See all the regulars.
Yeah. I'll actually be right after.
Wired. I'll be drink coffee.
And you know what, sometimes they bring, sometimes they don't, but it takes the That you don't get only in Michigan, but they don't have the same kind of beaches.
Seriously? I'm so sick of
Couldn't turn my digital recorder down.
It's on the website.
Oh, I know. But you know what?
There we go, yeah.
I think there's a reason why I'm not watching that.
Well,
You know what, you put the SSI in there. And I load up an audio program. So we can look at it.
I heard someone say that you wrote this. In a month or two, I'll be reading. Now I can stand.
Here's what it looked like. Individual nails. I got two sitting here. We're streaming it live. I'm sorry. Teacher, like $100.
I'm about to get up on a day off without taking anything away. I thought. It went down, it was a snow spaghetti. I got one.
Here's the one. Teacher, bite.
Shocking, right?
The fortunate thing for me is
But that's not the picture. No teacher.
4 board meetings a month. They would never say. They'll just think you're working with you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah? Oh, do you?
Fortunate, right? And then you eat that bite.
Oh, yeah.
When you do a video.
He just eats it. You know, I just.
Hey, all set to go?
Thank you.
Well, he said he wants to just wait till it starts.
Maybe then get a signal.
Don't wanna get stuck in the snow.
I think it's a good chance. And I'll say, 70 times. Yeah, it's just like.
Oh, I know. I
It's gonna start like 3 in the morning. Yeah, because when it's the they know it's coming, so they're probably so clouds are all that. Yeah, there's something right now.
What's his name? What you got?
Yeah, so it's a big long. I don't care. I mean, I don't. March though. I mean, yeah.
no, you know what? It's important for living.
That's right. And actually, we caught up.
Is that it? We're done. You did? Oh boy.
haven't heard good things about
The rest are concealed.
Here's where my house burns. Doesn't matter if it's on 3 different.
Actually, you're getting one. You can put that like out the garage.
That would take a little more.
Like, buy a cheap crate.
22.
I figure if I count it.
20. All I have to do is over.
Actually, you're
Over on the
Yeah, you can probably get one for free for the first one. Actually, the one thing I do, you prefer summers?
no.
Basically, it's a wireless speaker system.
I get email. I get these
Somebody taking my CDs. I just want to use them. They're always, because I've always been my phone speaker. So I just
normal functionality.
So you just plug the card in? Is that okay?
music, and it gives you instructions. Music gives you instructions. That's cool. The only thing that's annoying is you get used to the beat. But it gives you instructions. And you ought to think because it stops. Restart. It's pretty cool.
At the start of the demo.
How about A-Track?
Oh, God.
I got A-Track.
That's pretty cool.
I was teaching that track. That's how I got my music. The only place I can't see is back here.
So I said,
The only really confusing thing is that has a lag in it. Somewhere between 15 and 25 seconds. I mean, if you're watching it, you don't know it.
but if you're switching back and forth,
But if I'm using this headset, when I was at Chicago State at a radio station from on the air, I just was speakers. I had 3 computers set up. I had access to the radio station, all 3 computers. And they were all 3 different times.
anybody wants to have
Yeah, so
So they'll probably want 30 minutes. Those are really good. You got noise, you got car stereo. Negative. It takes up the line, it takes off.
So it's sitting like a radio show.
I know I've driven past it. did run into down near the one. Showtime.
I'll tell you. Next time I'll take you home.
Well, it's better to start early than late. Whatever you want to cut out of here, it's cool.
I have to play not too bad right now. The Church Indians done me so good.
Yeah, whatever you got to do. I don't know.
I got home.
Because I feel comfortable. You got me? Go rest up.
This is a three-ring circus profile of that and this.
Oh. Well, if we figure it out, we'll be good.
I tried to do it a couple of times. I tried to do it. It's just almost impossible to keep up with this. I have other people talking. First go Dave's moving like. Almost looked like he switched it. And this is gonna hang if there's no bugs.
That's from that power brick.
It blew faster than or someplace.
Oh, you think so?
That's the only thing it could be.
Because they would filter it out. Or whatever.
Actually, you can come across the easy out there. See what it's doing. I got a problem with one down at school for my TV kids. So I put it in the battery. And the battery into the unit.
Well, good evening, everybody. I apologize for our tardiness. Since 6 p.m., we did start on time. Since 6 p.m., the board has been in closed session for the discussion of the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel for the district, collective negotiating matters between the district and its employees or their representatives, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular district has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, the setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the district, and student disciplinary cases. So there was a lot. I'll entertain a motion to come out of closed session. I have a motion and a second. All in favor of coming out of closed, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Once again, welcome everybody. Our mission, as always, is to educate students to be self-directed learners, collaborative workers, complex thinkers, quality producers, and community contributors. We'll start out with a roll call.
Board members present: Susan Prati, Susan Price, Jackie Romberg, Mike Yench, Jim Dennison, Dave Weeks, and Terry Fielden.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start out with public comments today. We did not receive any requests, but as is our custom, I wanted to see if anyone did want to make a public comment and didn't get a chance to put in a request or just wants to make one. So then we'll press on with superintendent reports.
Number of reports this evening, so while Mr. Kunzer and Mr. Brunel get set up, I have a couple just brief announcements and information just for the board members and our board candidates, just for confirmation. Those of you that had registered to attend the Illinois Association of School Boards DuPage Division dinner meeting and candidates briefing tomorrow, it has been canceled due to the weather, so that meeting will not be held. No information regarding rescheduling at this time. Since I mentioned that word, weather, we are monitoring the weather closely, and we'll keep an eye on it. We are open, World Wide Web, we are open at this time for school tomorrow. And then, board, as you're aware, on February 14th, 2013, the school district received a proposal for a multi-district charter school to operate, the Illinois Virtual Charter School at Fox River Valley. The application indicates that desire to open as an online charter school beginning in the fall of 2013. District administration has started a review of the application and proposal. The application has been posted for the board at the Board of Education SharePoint site. Within 45 days of receipt of the charter school proposal, the school board is required to hold a public meeting to obtain information to assist you in your decision to grant or deny the charter school proposal. In order to meet that deadline, I'm recommending we hold our public meeting in conjunction with our next Board of Education meeting on Monday, March 18, 2013. After reviewing the process with legal counsel, I'm recommending, and this is where we'll have to discuss, that we schedule that meeting to begin at 5 p.m. To allow sufficient time for the applicant to present information regarding their application, the administration and Board of Education to ask questions of the applicants, and then also we must provide time for the public to make comment regarding the application. So that's my first recommendation. So that would mean the public hearing would begin at 5. Right. Right. We'd have to do the closed session before that. Right. Within 30 days then of the hearing, the school board will take a vote and a public meeting to either grant or deny the charter proposal. And I would recommend that the board schedule its action for April 15th, 2013. This would allow the Board of Education, if it desires, to have additional discussion on the proposal at its April 1st Board of Education meeting. So as I've indicated, we have the application, we have the proposal. The applicants will have the opportunity to present that application to you with public comment and your questions at our March 18th meeting. So I'd encourage you to review that proposal. Dave.
Can you explain the process? They're asking, we have to, what is our part of this? They're asking us.
Right.
It sounds to me like we have, I'll get it out just sounds like we have to grant permission.
Right. You'll either grant or deny the charter proposal. That's correct. You'll act on it. And then I can outline for the Board of Education, put together for you the step-by-step on what it would be if you approve the charter proposal or if you deny the charter proposal. Great. We'll do that.
Is there any cost implication to us?
Yes, there is potential cost implication to us, and as I said, we're still in the process of reviewing, but essentially it would be, the cost would be per student from our district enrolled in the charter school. Would get Dave help me with what specifically the 75% to 125% of our tuition. So approximately $10,000. You review the application, would be they're asking $8,000 per student. We'd start the open session at 5 o'clock. Again, we want to allow sufficient time for the applicants to make their full proposal, for you as a board and the administration to ask questions and to understand the proposal. And we also have to allow time for public comment and input.
Is this a for-profit or not-for-profit group that's proposing the school?
It's a for-profit. I'd encourage you to review the application that's been provided for you. Sure.
Just to clarify one or two more points. Have we been in touch with someone firsthand to confirm how long their presentation will take?
That's what we will do.
So that has not been done?
That's correct.
So
we're going to offer the legal counsel that we have talked to, both ours and with other districts. This encompasses 18 school districts that range from DeKalb County to DuPage County and Kane County south to Will and Kendall counties. The recommendation is to allow them the sufficient time to do that, and that it would take about 2 hours. We will ask them when I contact them if the board's open to that meeting date and time, how much time they suspect that they would need for their presentation, and then if we can trim that back, then we would do that. We have to post this meeting not more than 10 days before and not less than 5 days before.
And they also have not committed to even showing up that day, correct?
That's correct.
They will before we actually form the schedule.
They can be invited to do that, to present their proposal, or they can let the application on paper stand on its merits.
In which case, we still need a public hearing,
Yes,
but we can alter the timing.
correct.
Okay, so just to review, Dan is proposing, based on conversations with other school districts and their council and our council, that 2 hours would be an appropriate time for a full public hearing with their presentation.
Right. I have spoken with other districts and their legal counsel that have gone through this process and understand that to be approximate 2 hours is what's necessary.
That is what you're basing your recommendation on. That we still do not know that they want that much time, need that much time, or if they'll even show up. And all that will be determined before we publish any change to our school calendar, which has to be done 10 to 5.
That's correct.
Our board calendar, you mean?
Or, board calendar, what did I say?
You said school calendar.
School board calendar, yeah. Board meeting calendar.
Yeah, but if I understand correctly, the posting requirement's a little bit different. You said 5 days in advance, right?
Yeah.
So we got to meet that.
What was it, 10 days?
Can't be more than 10 days, and it can't be less than 5 days before the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to our first formal report then. I'm going to introduce a gentleman from our technology department. We're going to provide the Board of Education an update on the camera project that we've been working on in the district as part of our overall safe school plan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Roger Brunel, Chief Information Officer for the district, and with me is Chris Kunzar. He's our telecommunications manager and also handles many of the building renovation projects, low voltage systems, and is pretty much jack of all trades. So thanks for being with us, Chris. One of the most important things we are accountable for as a school district is the safety of our staff, students, everybody that attends functions in our buildings. To that end, both the district administration and building leadership have collaborated on what we call a school safety portfolio. What you see on screen here is a diagram that shows some of the key components of what we would consider this safety portfolio. Security cameras, paging and alert notification type of systems, crisis response plans, security training, building access control, and active security drills are some of the key things that we embark upon. It's unfortunate that we have to focus so much on this, but you don't have to wait too long to hear in the news of some incident or event that happens at a school district or public building that keeps us challenged. One of the things that we came to you last April as a board with was a recommendation to engage upon an improvement program for our security cameras. We were seeking your guidance and approval to move forward, which you did give at that time. We highlighted that at that time we had disparate capabilities at both the high schools. We had disparate number of cameras, different types of cameras, different capabilities, and we also lacked functionality in terms of things like a mobile application for iPads, iPhones, and smartphones to view our cameras and live streams from mobile, non-tethered positions throughout the district or beyond that. You approved our strategy, and we're here tonight to share with you progress on the update we've done since then and also share some next steps and a small demo. Chris?
Last spring, when we met, we laid out a roadmap of milestones we wanted to accomplish this year. In May of 2012, we installed the mobility server for the district, and that same month we installed a recording server at Naperville Central. In June, we replaced an end-of-life camera system so that it would be compatible to the one at Central. And then this last December, we added our 64th camera at Naperville North so that we are now at the same number at each high school. We continue today by working with Buildings and Grounds to conduct a junior high pilot at Lincoln Junior High. I will not take the time by reading through this slide, but this represents some of the feedback we've received from our high school deans. The cameras have been instrumental to our deans solving specific problems, but to summarize, the feedback has been very positive, and they find the cameras very useful and productive.
One of the areas that the board asked us to highlight last time, and we're going to touch on that just a little bit more this time, was who has access to the systems and how do we control that. There are two types of access that we grant. One is called mobile access, and one is called in-district or tethered access. Mobile access is for people who are just that. They're more mobile. They move about throughout the buildings, multiple buildings, throughout the district, out of the state, potentially out of the country, whatever. And that access is given on iPhones, iPads, smartphones, laptops, whether they're here on the district network or not. People who have that access today are principals, assistant principals, deans, building managers, administrative building operations support as well. In-district access are for people who are more building-based, and they are people such as campus security officers and student resource officers who have access predominantly on desktop and laptop command centers. The other thing to remember about these cameras are none of these cameras are mounted in any area that would compromise individual privacy, such as locker rooms, bathrooms, etc. They're all in open areas. Another thing to keep in mind is that we use what we call two-factor authentication. You need a user ID and a password to sign on to this. We can deactivate and activate those on demand. We also can assign a password to the Naperville Police Department on demand, and they can gain access through any web-based PC to some of the things you're going to see shortly that Chris will show us. Okay.
With my laptop, I'm going to demonstrate some of the key functions to our camera system, most of which are available on administrator labs, mobile devices today. So now that we have 64 cameras at each of our high schools, instead of looking at a list of cameras, endless list of cameras, there's these groupings on the left-hand side of the software, which makes it much easier for people to pick out movement. Right now I have displayed the main entrances at Naperville Central. You can look at any of the cameras and determine where the movement is, and then by double-clicking on that movement or on that camera, we'll bring it up full screen. It's pretty handy for administrators, especially in a lockdown situation, or just if there's any activity in any of the hallways overnight, during when class should be in session, things of that nature. The cameras are set up so that they record only when there's movement on the cameras. So it's a way to save resources. It's an industry standard, and that's why you see them, they'll flash record. If it's just a still picture, they don't record. So next, here's a subgroup that I put together, a grouping of cameras at Naperville North. And what I was hoping to demonstrate here is the playback functionality, to go back in time and see recorded video. With this, again, you can pull up any camera to pull it up full screen. And with these controls here with time navigation, you can go back in time. Let's say we wanted to go this morning. You could very easily pull that video right up. And then the administrator has the ability to zoom in. They're actually very good definition on the cameras. When they see the video or the capture the picture they're looking for, they can very easily then print a report, which can then be sent to other administrators immediately. So here's our cafe at Naperville North. And if we wanted to say, take a look at what was happening when they opened up for the morning, again, this timeline browser that we have on the right-hand side, it helps to show when there's movement. When it's solid red or mostly red, you can see that's movement that took place. When there isn't any movement on it's more of a black color, that's where there's no movement. And the administrator can simply move forward and back in time, and you can see exactly when they turn on the lights and open the cafeteria. It's another time-saving tool to get our administrators in and out of the cameras, get what they need, and then go back out to doing administrative work. So part of the additions for our cameras are movable cameras. They're known as PTZ cameras, and these cameras actually work on a tour. We have them set up so that they continuously scan different areas. We have one covering all sides of our high schools, and they'll continue to rotate in different presets, camera shots, and our administrators can that they selected, and they can always be changed. These tours, as they're also called, they go in a rotation of these presets. We can always add different camera shots to them if there's hot spots that develop in the parking lots. And then in addition to that, we have different needs at different times of the day. Like overnight, we might want to monitor the football field closer, and then during the day, when students are arriving and leaving, we monitor those parking lots a little bit more. And that can be changed. They're done automatically. We can set up these tours so that they rotate at different times. When these cameras can also be controlled by administrators, and the tour will automatically stop. And when they see something they want to capture, either on their mobile device or from the laptop, they can actually zoom in.
Chris, can you get close enough? That's what I was going to ask you to.
Yeah, you can. It does a real good job.
And what Chris showing is you could be on your iPhone at home, grab this camera and move it. Or you could be in Wisconsin and grab this camera and move it just from the mobile application. And then once you let go, it resumes the tour. So that's new functionality that we approved last time.
And I apologize if I missed this. How long are we keeping this data?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really using this for after the fact? Somebody's not sitting and monitoring it at all times?
Not all the time.
at
I would
Target?
say that with the mobile application, though, it opens up some real-time use. If there's something going on and the dean wants to grab real-time, or anybody wants to grab real-time video, they can access it. So I think it's mostly reactive, but this allows us to be in a more proactive state because you could, at any time, access a live feed. And we're going to show you something in a minute that even enhances that.
Okay.
But no one's job is to sit and monitor the cameras
Right,
all the time, right? Mm-hmm.
So they're not being monitored like that. It's in case something happens, we can go back and find that information. We've had some incidents. Or if there's something going on, for example, God forbid, somebody's walking through the building on a lockdown, we can identify where they are.
It's a great segue. We're going to show you here, because we weren't satisfied with where we were at and we wanted to be more innovative. And so Chris and I had a conversation and said, wouldn't it be great if you could take a look from an aerial view of our entire floor plan and just mouse over it and grab a live feed of any camera that was there. You're seeing a tiny subset of the Naperville Central entrance, but if he was to zoom out, you would see the entire school floor plan and all the cameras. The areas in the circular dashed lines represent camera locations. And so right now, he can click and mouse over any of these, and you'll see the live feed from that camera will come up. Okay? Now, the really nice thing about this is if someone you knew was walking down a certain hallway, you could track them all the way through and pull up live feeds, take snapshots as you go. And like I said, he's only showing a portion for our own internal security reasons to not lay that out there. But we have this for both high schools right now. And this is something that Chris developed internally out of an innovative idea. So it's another step in a higher direction.
So as Roger pointed out, as you hover the mouse over, that is a shot of of the main entrance there at Naperville Central. And then as you'd watch movement eventually cross over to another camera, you'd be able to track them to the next camera, and so forth and so on down the line.
In terms of next steps, we're currently in process of conducting a junior high pilot at Lincoln Junior High. We'll have those cameras installed by the end of this month, and you'll see a cost for each of these areas. Those costs were built in what was approved last year already for that pilot. We're just calling them out for you. And what we're piloting here is not the technology. We know the technology works. The training, the number of cameras for a typical junior high, and there are some new tweaks to the technology, some improvements that we want to test out before we roll it to full junior high implementation. That full implementation is in the upcoming budget. We've worked with Buildings and Grounds to coordinate making sure that's in the budget, so that $135,960 is an upcoming budget, which you'll be asked to approve during budget cycle. We also stepped back and said, well, given the sensitivity around safety, what if it was that the district wanted to roll this out to all schools and wanted to accelerate that? We've got the cost to roll this out to all remaining schools with an average of 7 cameras per elementary school for the 282. So there are no firm plans to do that now, but if that was to be talked about, we would figure it would be the next year after the junior highs. It could be accelerated if the board was decided to go that direction, and that would be the cost. That plus the cost that we had spent last time, you approved about $180,000, which is for all the high school remediation and the junior high. So the bottom two figures would be incremental to scale it to the district-wide, but it would be the same capabilities you've seen, and the mobile application as well.
For the elementary schools, Roger, where would you, with 7 cameras, where would you put the cameras at,
You
like
want to talk to that,
typically in the building?
Well, at the main entrances, the playground behind, or whatever the playground was for the elementary school, we estimated 7 cameras is what we thought would be a good number to start with.
So mostly at the main entrance, so you could see get a better view who's coming in the building.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Okay.
And we based it on our tour of the junior highs. 10 was what we worked out at Lincoln. It looked to cover all the common areas, and so we figured it would downscale that a little bit based upon building size. Those are averages. It could be less. It could be more.
It could be less or more depending on the configuration of the building and what you need to see at each entrance and so forth. So it's just you evaluate each building individually and figure out what would be necessary.
Absolutely. It's an average.
And for some of our elementary playgrounds, I know we sometimes have after-hours behavior, after-dark behavior that goes on that so this is information we could give to the police, the Naperville police.
I think I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, and having said that, because it would provide sort of community security, is there any funding that's offered through any community grants or block grants for them to offset those costs?
I don't know the answer to that question.
I don't know the answer to part 2 either, but of your question, the cost. I mean, that is something we could certainly explore. I'm sure, that there are grant opportunities and alternate funding opportunities that could be available for things like this that I think we would want to potentially explore. Regarding your first part about, and kind of back to Mr. Fielden's question about the locations, you're real hesitant to talk about specifics at exact, each school in this place, and this place, and this place. I think part of it's going to depend on our data in our school, each of the different locations. Certainly you would assume common areas and highly trafficked and public areas, but I think the alternate funding and looking at potential for grants is a great suggestion.
Yeah, because I thought there was some proposal, one of the proposals from the President's office was for increased security at schools, which included things like this.
Right.
So we'll explore those options. And have you talked to the Naperville police about some of these plans, about putting cameras on certain places? And
absolutely.
Okay.
And actually, we
and
were
I'm
in
sure
good communication with them, and we tested once, right.
Is there anybody from the police department that wants access to them continuously, or do they have?
That hasn't been a request yet. It's technically possible, and we could give them a console and put a machine over in their office that could have these maps and everything in it. But so far, that has not been come up.
But we have the ability already
under technically
to be able to assign that access at the time that we need it. Or, again, with our relationship with the police department, if they have information that would suggest maybe in off hours or something they need that access, then we have that ability to do that.
I think it's a great idea, and the cameras are certainly very clear and provides a good deal, a level of tracking and so forth. It's a small price to pay. I know it's a lot of money, but at least it gives some ability to better monitor the buildings, and especially at the entrances.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize it's just an average, the 10 junior high and 7, but we say we have 64, wasn't it 64 each at the high school?
64 at each high school.
Right, and I understand the high schools are enormous, but
right.
I'm hoping 10 is just, I'd rather you come back with, if it needs to be 15, let's look at that for building.
Yeah, the 10 is based upon an in-depth review of Lincoln, and it covered all common areas and some outside. Right. And so we figured that's a good ballpark, but I think Terry said, or you said it would be business specific for each school. It might be 5, it might be 12, but we wanted to get an average. Right. Anything else? Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
Mr. Siepke, ask you to come on up and prepare for your presentation. We also tonight, is a report to the Board of Education, have an update on construction projects that the Board of Education approved last spring for this current year. So Craig Siepke from White & Company, our architects, is going to give you an overview of where we are with these 3 projects. So this presentation tonight is going to focus on the projects that we have in different stages at Elmwood, Prairie, and Steeple Run.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, Superintendent Bridges, and distinguished guests, it's good to be back. Seems like it's been a while, but it really hasn't been. We have been running alongside the conversation that you have been having here.
Grab a mic.
In the,
Mike.
Microphone.
in the district.
Okay, haven't done it too often, have I? Okay, there we go. It's been a long time, right? Okay. So we've been running alongside the conversation you've been having in the district here with regards to curriculum updates and evolving demographic trends. And to that end, as you know, I think on either side of the winter break, and we've gotten approval from you to look a little bit more in depth at 3 of the facilities here in the district, Elmwood, Prairie, and Steeple Run. And it is those schools that just want to give you a brief update on where we stand, and certainly answer whatever questions that you might have after I go run through the floor plans. So, with that said, just a quick little look at the district, and of course that wasn't supposed to happen, right? Yeah, let's try this. There we go. We're going to start over at Elmwood Elementary School, and looking at doing a roughly 4,000 square foot gym addition onto the north end of the facility. Zoom in just real close quickly here so we can see what we're looking at. And again, because it's an addition and the location that really kind of befits new construction or some additional square footage, we have a connecting link that happens off the existing hallway right in this location, which leads directly to the gym proper. On either side, some storage office space, and then a stage that opens out onto the gym on the far east end. Entrance into this addition for after-hours activities and so forth, and even during the day as you leave the gym, really would happen through a set of doors on either side of this connecting link. And then you can see we've kind of kept the footprint, the disturbance of the footprint around the building to a minimum. We are going to be losing about 20 parking stalls, but there are some additional stalls to be given as part of this overall project. About 15 to 20 feet. We have a certain distance that we have to maintain for code reasons and code purposes. And again, we just wanted to make sure that we stayed not only actually exceeded those requirements, we also wanted to make sure that we had enough room to allow natural light into the classrooms that are on either side of the connecting link.
Will it look something like the one at Mill Street? Because that's the same. You had to add a connecting link. It's got its exterior access.
A little different. Certainly, the style of the building is going to be different. Each one of your buildings has its own.
Style over at Mill Street, so
correct. And this is going to be a little bit more. The look and the feel is going to be a little bit more in keeping with the sort of the modern 1950s, 60s character quality of the building.
Mid-century, right?
Mid-century modern. Yes, absolutely. That's what we call it. The size, however, and some of the program elements that we have in the addition are very much in keeping with what we did over at Mill Street, for sure. So, does anybody have any additional questions? We are in the midst of doing documentation and looking at going out to bid for contractor pricing in a couple weeks. And then we'll be back to you with a recommendation on moving forward. And then with the start of construction happening really at the end of school and probably moving into the facility about October, maybe early November, depending on how things go.
This question might be more for Dan, but the real reason for this is the enrollment there, the need for additional space, and if we can talk a little bit about to the World Wide Web and everybody at home that's listening in the audience, that we needed this extra space for hot lunch delivery, just for the students in that building to operate that building. What will happen with the old gymnasium and what this means for the building on an ongoing basis.
I think I'm going to ask Dave to speak a little bit to that.
Yeah, during our presentation, actually about a year ago, our general standard for our 4-section buildings or 600 student schools would be that we would want to have a multi-purpose room or a lunch space in addition to a gymnasium space. Elmwood had one of the smallest gymnasiums, about 2,300 square feet, and with the 600 plus students now that we have going to that school, the scheduling for lunches and gym time becomes very difficult. So that's what we're looking to do with this addition, is to be able to do that and accommodate all the students that we have going there now.
Great, thanks.
But when you say you're going out for bid, what is that process like? Because I know when we did the process to the big project, it was very open. What is your bid process like? Is it similar to that? You send out an RFQ or response to your to design, or?
What we'll be doing is putting an advertisement for bids in the newspaper, contacting contractors, general contractors that we have worked with in the past, that we've had successful projects on, as well as contractors at the district that work for the district here. Again, it's a completely open process, and we'll be on the street soliciting proposals for about 3 weeks, answering whatever questions might be coming our way, and then opening bids. Steve, help me here. April 14th, and then we have to scope them out and make sure that they have everything included that we want that we put in the drawings, and come back to you with a recommendation.
So this timeline would have basketballs bouncing in October in that gym.
Correct. Ish.
Construction and ish go together. Yes.
We have the year 2013. Listed up there, and that is our intent. This was the first project I think that you approved us to proceed with, so it is a little bit ahead of the other 2 projects that I'm going to share with you. So,
right. Okay.
Can you confirm that date of the bids? Is April 14th is a Sunday? Is that the right date? Is it the 15th or is it the Friday before that?
We're going to be coming back to the board on the 15th with a recommendation, and I think it was the if I'm not mistaken, the 10th that we're opening up the bids.
Thank you. Okay. No, that's fine. I just want to make sure.
Dan, since this is such a centrally located gymnasium in Naperville, you already addressed this with the Park District, their interest. Could you go over that again?
At this time, they did not have interest in partnering with us on this construction project.
So that was like 6 months ago when we talked about it. Could you maybe just ask them again in case they've changed their mind?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Write a check.
Now we're
Go ahead.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next school if there's no more questions, and take a look at Prairie Elementary School. And we've actually we started looking at this particular addition after the holidays. Again, new gymnasium, as well as some additional support spaces is what's going to go into it. We're certainly not as far along in our planning efforts and our documentation design efforts as Elmwood. But the intent here is to really start ramping up that conversation once we finish the Elmwood documents and design documents. And I'll be going back out to the school, doing a little bit more surveying, talking with the principal, and coming up with a more customized plan for this particular facility. Again, it's going to have all the same program elements that Elmwood has, including the size of the gym as well as the stage. We're looking at putting it at the far southeast end of the building, and making use of the asphalt hard surface play that's right alongside it. And then as far as site improvements and so forth, we are also looking at doing some additional or expanded parking on the north side of the facility. So there's a little bit going on here, a little bit more from the site standpoint. Again, the addition, roughly the same size, in keeping with what we're doing over at Elmwood and what we finished up over at Mill Street. Yes?
Again, I don't know if this is for Dan or his staff as well, but if the idea would be to bring all-day kindergarten to this and the other 6 schools in the 14-15 year, they would almost need this addition to run their programming. What would the timing of this addition, would it work into that schedule as well?
We're looking at completing, construction completing, you moving in and using the facility January 2014. So it's a little bit staggered from Elmwood. Comes
okay.
down.
So that's 6 months before school would start there.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of that is, I have to say, weather dependent and all of that goes into construction. So. And then the last facility, I'll have to remember that. Come back with something a little bit more static next time, perhaps. Is Steeple Run, and kind of went back and forth. Certainly in January here with the principal, trying to find the best location, best suited for new construction. And where we wound up and landed was providing a space just to the south of the existing gymnasium that, again, could be opened up to the gym. And really what happens is you can have a space now that the entire student body could use if there's a play, assembly, or some type of gathering that the principal calls. At the same time, we need to provide access to that multi-purpose area or the cafeteria. And in so doing, kind of take a look at some of the security issues that are prominent in the conversations that we're having with a lot of school districts right now, and kind of testing that out and seeing if there's some improvements or some considerations that could be made to that part of the facility. So, yes?
It looks like it's in the middle of the road.
That is.
So do you is there a bridge? Do you drive under it?
It is. Well, now you say that. No, actually, there is an opportunity there. In the conversations that we had over at the school, apparently they have some congestion up along that area, and double rows of either parking and buses. And this doesn't really show the improvements that we're contemplating, but it's something that we need to sink our teeth into a little bit. To provide a little bit more expanded or elbow room in the front of the building so that cars can navigate around the facility, past the parking, maintain safety of the kids. But there will be some improvements made to that whole area for sure.
And then the main entrance gets kind of a little makeover so you know where to enter?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's all part of the safety considerations and sort of the refreshing of the building image.
I'm sorry, where's that road going to go? I'm confused.
Well, we're going to maintain the curb cut that happens on the east side over here. What we don't have a plan for as of yet, we do need to do some talking both with the city as well as the staff over at the school, how best the students can be staged in the front of the building. So that's, again, we are in the infant stages, conceptually planning where things are going to be going and how the site is going to be operating, but that will be forthcoming as we have those conversations.
Could we push down into that triangle that's in front of it?
We can,
Yeah.
and that's what it.
Easement or whatever that is.
Yeah, it's part of your property.
Uh-huh.
Our survey shows that. There's some detention that we have to kind of work around as well in that area, but definitely you have some real estate that a lot of schools don't have, so it's kind of nice.
How does the square footage of this match with the combined square footage of the other ones now, gym and multipurpose room?
Well, with regards to the addition itself, it is going to be less in terms of square footage. Actually, we're looking at about 2,500 to 3,000 square foot addition compared to the 4,000 to 5,000 square foot additions that we're putting on the other schools. But that's really a function of the kind of space that we're adding. This is a multi-purpose room. It's not a gym.
But their gym is fairly small, too.
Yeah.
Bigger than the other two.
Is it really?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's one of the, but the way we put the new square footage here, it's really one of the benefits of putting it in this location and opening it up into.
Oh,
the
I
bigger
understand
space.
that benefit,
Yeah.
no, but
Yeah.
when they're separate, use as separate rooms, are they both, you're saying the gym is bigger than the other two, but the multipurpose room is smaller?
3,000 something?
So 32, I think.
30,
Mhm.
something like that. I was going to look up the whole thing, but.
Okay, I mean, you can't always tell, when you...
Right, because it's
There's a
not
carpet
scale.
floor, yeah.
Most of your gyms and multipurpose rooms run anywhere between 3,000 and 4,000 square feet here in the district.
And this one's 32,
Mhm.
so it's still on the small side.
The gym itself?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's significantly bigger than the other two.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry. If we're combining it, there's not a separate multipurpose room. So this would be the multipurpose room and the gym together.
Correct.
So, how does that help this force, whatever, the students in this building and programming for lunches and gym and all that rest? How does having a larger space make that all work?
Well, I think one of the challenges that you have when you have a gym that also serves as a cafeteria and a multi-purpose room is, being able to offer gym at certain key times of the day. You have to shut down the gym earlier, and it's occupied because you have to, undo all the tables and put them back and so forth. So there's an extended period of time where the gym can't be used for physical activity. By separating the two spaces, the way we're doing right over here, that's going to offer up, provide a gymnasium that could be used on a more continual basis during the course of the school day.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think she, if the primary configuration will be two separate rooms with a movable wall that allows you to
That's
make
what I was
one
trying to
use
get at for the
space.
community. I was trying to get at that it'll
I
still
missed
be
that.
two different spaces.
The design will
Because I
afford the
look here,
ability
it
to
looks
split
like
it
a
into
jumbo
two
size.
usable spaces so they can be used simultaneously.
Yeah. What we could do at some point, once we get into the details of the design, come back and just show you where the operable walls are and how the spaces are going to function, certainly with the toilet rooms, the access hallways, the prep room, and all that goes into the multipurpose room addition.
Right, because one of the concerns we've shared with the community is if when you have this all-day kindergarten programming, you need to use that gymnasium all the time. You can't have it off limits. Here, it would still be a usable gymnasium for those extra periods of the day that would need to be programming for the extra
That is correct.
students that are there. Okay, great, thank you.
And I assume the temporary walls have technology such that they can be playing basketball on one side and the cafeteria won't disturb them, that kind of thing, or?
They do have increased sound transmission and so forth.
But I mean, you could literally run them both at the same time without any.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now they're both noisy activities too. I mean,
I know.
it's not going to be completely
Cafeteria will
soundproof.
bother basketball, yeah.
But definitely technology is such that it's so far advanced than it used to be.
Okay.
Certainly when the buildings were built.
Any questions on this one? The one thing I wanted to circle back to is because I want to make sure I understood the timeline. When are you going to put out the bids for the for Elmwood?
Elmwood is going to be in 2 weeks.
So I mean, there's really no practical way to change that plan without a huge delay on the program, right?
That is correct.
So I mean, I just wanted to.
And that would be my intent. I think if you're asking that question in
Yeah.
response to Board Member Crotty's request, the approach this time would be to present this is the plan that we have, come back to you and ask, do you have any interest in supporting this plan?
To
the Park District.
Park District, but I mean, if they wanted to get into the smaller gym?
Correct.
But there's no intent to, what we've done in the past, like in River Woods, is...
No, we moved forward based on their indication at the time that we started the planning and the conversation.
And
that they were not
there's
interested.
absolutely no chance to change the plans at this time and still serve the needs of Elmwood.
I would not recommend it at this time.
Steeple Run is, in keeping with the staggered approach to these additions, Steeple Run would be ready at the end of summer 2014. So we have some time to kind of sift through the details of that plan and make sure we have our T's crossed and I's dotted. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and our final report tonight, just a report, no presentation, but I'm going to ask that Kitty Ryan and Jen Hester come to the presentation table, because we've learned that when we do a report to you, we have to at least come to the presentation table to ensure that our speakers are appearing on the World Wide Web as opposed to a voice just appearing out of nowhere. We didn't either, but I don't know if you saw Susan and I kind of pointing last week. We were missing some presentations, so even though there's not a formal presentation, because they will be reporting to you, we've asked that they come to the table. And they want the opportunity to go worldwide. So the intent is just to give you an overview, just a high-level overview of the operational, logistical, and curriculum development processes that we've been undergoing in preparation for the implementation of ADK as approved by the Board of Education at the 7 schools for next year.
Well, good evening, everyone. And I understand we're also supposed to say who we are because people come up and no one knows who they are. So I'm Kitty Ryan, and this is.
And I'm Jen Hester.
There we go. Pardon me. What do we do? All right. I'll be happy to explain that. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Elementary Education, and this is.
And I'm the Associate Superintendent for Learning Services.
Thanks. And I'm going to begin our presentation tonight and kind of update you where we are operationally with all-day kindergarten. One of the things that we're doing this year that we've not done in the past is really push for early enrollment in kindergarten. We're projecting about 1,000 kindergarten students next year, and of those 1,000 students, we're projecting about 560 of them will be enrolled in all-day kindergarten sites. Of those 560, we currently have 240 enrolled, so we're about halfway there. Of those 240 students, 10 families have expressed an interest in the half-day option. As you know, we need to offer a half-day and a full-day option for our students where we offer full-day kindergarten. We're asking parents, if at all possible, to let us know by March 15th which of those choices they would take. If they're enrolled in an all-day kindergarten site, are they in fact going to be asking for all-day kindergarten or half-day? And as I indicated, we have 10 families who currently have asked for that. Our plan then is if we have less than a full classroom, so if we had less than 25, let's say, for example, or close to that, a little bit below that, a little bit above that, what we would do is enroll those students in the nearest school that has room for them, rather than set up a very small classroom of those students who are only going to be enrolling in half-day kindergarten. If we have a full classroom, which could happen of half-day kindergarten students, then we would go ahead and set up a separate classroom for those students. Okay? So that's where we are with enrollment. I want to tell you a little bit about how we're communicating this information to our families. We've had information meetings last week for all of the sites that are going to be hosting all-day kindergarten. We'll have another opportunity for all parents in April for our kindergarten preview to learn about the kindergarten program. We've got information posted on the website, which includes an FAQ concerning kindergarten, especially all-day kindergarten. We've got information out on the school marquees. Susan Rice and Julie Carlson are helping us by getting it out to preschools and different community groups to kind of spread the word to, hey, come on in and get your student enrolled in kindergarten. Logistically, we have adjusted our staffing for next year to accommodate the all-day kindergarten option. And we've also increased art, music, and PE very slightly to take care of those extra sections as well. We're working right now to provision technology for the new classrooms as we need that. Our schools that are hosting all-day kindergarten are finalizing their furnishings inventory to make sure that we can use existing furniture and existing supplies before we go ahead and purchase anything additional for those classrooms. We will need to purchase some materials. We want to make sure that we're purchasing just exactly what we need for them. We're working with transportation. We're also working with Sodexo, our food service provider, to make sure that they're in the loop and ready to support our all-day kindergarten sites. In terms of building renovations, we're still in the planning stages for Napier and Ellsworth. As you know, we're looking for an interim solution for those schools so that we can really take a really good look at what's the best way to make sure we're meeting the needs of those schools programmatically. That's kind of the rundown on the operational end of our planning for all-day kindergarten. I'll be meeting Wednesday this week with our principals, and we meet regularly, all-day kindergarten principals, to make sure that we're continuing on track, make sure that those schools are ready to go for all-day kindergarten in the fall. And Dr. Hester's been working very, very hard on the curriculum pieces of this, and she's going to talk to us about that now.
Okay, all of our kindergarten teachers continue to meet each month to work on the curriculum and to engage in professional learning. Our math curriculum is now fully upgraded to the Common Core, and the teachers are receiving professional learning in using their resource to teach the curriculum. The teachers are in the process of reviewing resources for reading instruction, for writing, and for word study. And a small committee of all of the kindergarten teachers has reviewed the social and emotional learning standards. They are in the process right now of reviewing observational inventories. And the next step for that small committee is to begin the process of looking at resources to support that work. So we're on schedule for implementation.
If I can ask you both just to comment, in the community asks, parents ask, how will the first grade teachers receive these students? You know, my initial response is we have many children that are in private kindergarten now, combined with our public kindergarten, and this has been going on for a decade or more, and these children have come into first grade, and children just learn at such different levels, but I certainly don't have the educational background you both do.
One of the first things our teachers do is make many assessments of kids, from the informal type that they do of students to some of the ones that we do for all of our grade levels. So the first thing they'll get to know is to know their students deeply. And then from there, from those assessments, then they start to group them for instruction and meet their needs from there. Any other questions?
You said you've provisioned classes, but we haven't hired any additional teachers yet, have we? And what is the timeline for that?
No, we do have a staffing plan, and shortly after we have, we've gotten approval from you on our staffing projections for next year, then our elementary our elementary principals, where we have all-day kindergarten, will begin to hire the necessary teachers. So that will begin very shortly, actually, and be completed before the school year concludes, we hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, were there any, you have anything else?
No.
Any board reports?
Yeah, ISB survey. I took it over the weekend, and it will take you every bit of 30 minutes when you do it. So
it says 30 to 40. You were fast.
It's yeah.
Gifted. So what happens? Yeah, you're gifted. Yeah. What happens that you're not going to get your dinner tomorrow?
What happened? I'm not going to get my dinner?
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, they're worried about the weather, so they canceled it at about noon today. They sent an email out about that.
Yeah. Were you going to get another award?
I'm not going to get another award.
Oh, I'm glad.
One award a year is enough.
Okay. Moving on. Would someone care to discuss the consent agenda or bring it up?
Well, I move approval of 6.01 and 6.02 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Roll call, please.
Yench.
Aye.
Price.
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Weeks.
Aye.
Fielden.
Yes.
Romberg.
Yes.
Prati.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. And on to discussion without action. We'll start off with high school course fees.
Okay, I'll make the introduction for him. Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Education, Bob Ross, is now approaching the presentation table to ensure that his presentation can be seen on the Well, that's a long story. Annually, we ask the Board of Education to approve high school course fees. So Mr. Ross will provide the Board of Education with an overview of recommendations for course fees at the high school for the 13-14 school year. Bob?
Thank you, Mr. Bridges. Mr. Bridges is correct, of course. That's what we do each year. We come to you and ask you to approve fees for the subsequent school year for high school courses. You should find in board docs a document listing all the fees from Naperville Central High School and one listing the fees for Naperville North High School. A couple of things I'd call to your attention. If there was a change or if there is a proposed change, you'll find that in boldface. And the column in the middle attempts to explain what the fees in that class or that course will cover. We've had some fee increases to be proposed, a couple of decreases, and only one elimination of a fee that had to do with a magazine subscription that we're dropping from the course. And I'd be pleased to try to answer any questions that you might have.
So chatty tonight. I know, Bob, you had said that as Common Core in your notes, you said as Common Core gets further developed, there will be more synergy between the two high schools in some of the course fees because of the reading requirements or the extra books and all. Are there any that stand out to you that I kind of went through them both and then got, I looked up a number of the ones that seemed a little higher in terms of expenses, and they were the same at both schools. Are there any that we just need to focus on or need to be able to explain to the community that are really different at schools for some reason?
There is one that that comes to my attention. There's a course underneath Communication Arts. It's Honors English 2 Journalism, and you'll find a difference in price, or excuse me, a difference in fee as proposed to repeat what we have this year. There's a significant difference between Naperville North, which is proposed to charge $45 a semester, and Naperville Central is $21. Okay. And that has to do with the difference in the courses, a strong partnership between Naperville North and NCTV. TV production is an important part of that course at Naperville North. That's not the case at Central.
Good answer.
That's why.
Can we get Naperville Central to have that benefit with our local TV station, or is that? Well,
I can tell you, we've had some discussions about what that course ought to look like, and we've been working with, and we'll work more with Dr. Hester. We expect this course to go forward as this for next school year, but after that, I think we need to, or in anticipation of the year after that, we have to have some more conversations.
Got it. Thank you.
The only question I had, and it's relatively trivial, and I may have missed it, but I think it's Central has a, one of the schools has a athletic pass and one doesn't. Is that intentional? I'm just curious what the difference was. North has an athletic pass for admission to all Hogan games. I thought Central had one of those, but I guess they don't, or it's not listed. Or I missed it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Yant. Can you direct me to what you're looking at?
North has a athletic pass under optional fees. Right there, the fifth fee. Central, as far as I can tell, doesn't have one. I seem to remember the kids paid something for something. Is that just something that got omitted, or are all the events free, or they just have to go pay them one
I don't
by
think
one?
they're all free. You know what? If I may, let me check on that and get back to you. Is that all right? I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me tonight. I'll find out.
I mean, otherwise, I was going to commend you, and Jackie already brought it up, is that they do seem very, very well aligned with the one you just talked about, and especially everything going forward, as far as I could tell, was identical. So any of the new courses, so I applaud you for that. Yeah, I'm just curious more than anything. I'm sure you guys will work it out. Were there any other questions? There you go.
Thank you.
Mr. Ross will stay right where he's at.
Does he get reintroduced? No.
Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Education Bob Ross will now be joined by Assistant Superintendent for Elementary Education Kitty Ryan, whom you met earlier, who will provide an overview for you of the certified staffing allocation request for the coming school year and respond to questions that the Board of Education may have. So, well done, Mr. Ross. Bob, Kitty?
What a team.
Well, tonight we're happy to present for your consideration our staffing projections for next year. I'm going to talk with you a little bit about our elementary projections. we are projecting next year that our enrollment at the elementary level will go up about 6.7%, and that represents the additional.
Not percent, FTE, correct?
Pardon me.
Okay.
Thank you. I misspoke. FTE. Thank you very much. Not 6%. FTE, and that includes the addition of the all-day kindergarten. We have about 11 all-day kindergarten classrooms that will require additional staffing, but with other reductions, we've been able to hold it to about 6.7 FTE. That also includes an increase of about 1.5 in art, music, and PE, which is also a result of the additional art, all-day kindergarten classrooms. We have that pretty much summarizes the additional FTE that we're requesting. We're also requesting some minimal special education additions, including two LBS and some portions of some speech pathology, social work, et cetera, et cetera.
So where are the reductions coming?
The reductions are coming from other grade levels, Mr. Weeks, where we are actually losing sections due to enrollment.
Can you said something about 11? So 7 schools will have all-day kindergarten, and maybe the reconciliation isn't that simple.
Right, it's not, because you have some that are going from half-time to full-time, et cetera, et cetera. So you'll have, instead of 3 sections, or 1.5 FTE, we're adding portions of that. That's why it's not one for one.
Kitty, do you know how many sections we're dropping?
How many sections of kindergarten we're upping?
No, dropping.
Dropping. You know what, I can tell you that. I don't have that right in front of me.
I mean, we're adding 11, 12, and 6,
Yeah.
7, so it must be about half a dozen to 6.
Exactly.
Right?
That would be about it. I don't have that right in front of me, Mr. Weeks. I certainly can get that
Is
for
there a
you.
predominant grade level where we're seeing that shrinkage? Or?
I believe we're seeing it in 4th grade. We've got a drop in 4th grade this year. Okay. I can get you that exactly.
And at the junior high, we project enrollment to be relatively flat, and our staffing is also flat, actually down
Looks very
1/100th.
flat. It looks very flat.
It's down
on
a
my
little for
schedule, yes.
projected for next year. Yes.
And it goes without saying at high school, nothing changes.
We're scheduled to bring that to you in April.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you very much. No action items. We'll save that for our business meeting in 2 weeks. If there's no old business or new business.
I have a new business.
Yes.
Dan, could you address the weather plans for tomorrow? I see that West Aurora and Deerfield have already decided to close for tomorrow, and I'm just kind of curious the timing and what your.
I kind of want to put you on the spot.
Yeah, absolutely right. I have actually, I am prepared to if necessary, but I do feel I'll be able to get home this evening. I have actually been monitoring the weather. Dave and I have been talking. The administrative team also has been talking throughout the day. I've been on phone and email conversations with a number of area superintendents. There have been a handful of closings that have already been announced. Majority of them, with the exception of 129, are Lake County school districts. I have seen a little bit of email traffic here that some of our smaller DuPage counties are really considering it tonight. There are a couple of milestones that a number of us have talked about. We'll be reviewing the first weather reports for this evening at the 9 o'clock news, and I don't anticipate we're going to hear anything new than what we've already heard. And then I have a conference call at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning with all of the DuPage County superintendents, where we'll have a conversation about weather conditions. I just emailed Steve during the course of this meeting to ask him how early he'd be prepared to take my phone call tomorrow, and he said anytime, which was a good answer. So my alarm will be set for 4 to check the weather. At this point, we're prepared. Our concern about looking at the weather is as the projections have ranged in from 2 inches to as many as 13 inches on some. The uncertainty is what makes some of this difficult. The challenge we'll be making an assessment of when the heaviest snowfall is to come tomorrow. And in terms of for school tomorrow, one of the things that concerns me is the prediction of the time that the snow event will occur, which would be late night tonight, early morning tomorrow, which could have a significant impact on the morning rush hour and morning bus times, with the heaviest snow coming late morning, early afternoon, which could then have a significant impact on dismissal times. So all of those factors will be taken into consideration late tonight and early tomorrow morning. We have, I think, a pretty strong communication plan. Susan and I have already talked, and we're prepared to get the information out as soon as we're ready to make a decision. For just a sense of my practice, I'd always want to be safe and ensure that our kids are safe, but I don't want to call it too early.
You do know that by waiting till 5 that the boys' swim teams are already in the pool, and they're proud to know that they get into the pool before you cancel school, and that they often are already in the pool swimming and learn about it once they're already there.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are good leaders.
That's right.
And just so the community, I'm sorry, Dan. Were you done?
Nope, go ahead.
I thought it was kind of an interesting comment. In the community, I had heard from somebody that mentioned that they had gotten a phone call, a text on their work phones, their home phones, and their cell phones, all from our superintendent about the canceled activities in the evening. So I say kudos. Everybody's heard of things. Go ahead.
I was just going to say more spam. Go ahead. No.
I want to wait for us to get to schedule events. Are we there?
Any other new business? Schedule events.
If I could, I'd like to compliment Susan and Deanne for being able to coordinate all of that communication. My heart is, the only thing I need to do is record the message.
There you go.
So,
There you go.
That's the way it should be.
There you go.
right.
On the schedule of events, I guess I'm just asking my colleagues. We had talked, is this the best format? We had talked one time about getting the invites on our emails and accepting them when they go on our calendars. Does this work for everybody, that you look at the board docs and get all these things on your calendar and then subject to being able to go to them or not? Do you see what we had talked about a year ago with community relations, and I'm not even sure Julie was in that role when this all came up, to sometimes what the district has the capability. Let's use an example of Hurrah Appreciation Luncheon. Okay, it's on April 11th. All the board members get an evite through. You can accept, decline, whatever, when you know. Is that helpful, or does this way that's been working for 20 years? Is that what everybody wants?
I get numerous invitations for virtually every activity. I think we're doing both. I think yeah, and all kinds
Okay.
of invitations.
Okay.
Whatever they're doing is working.
Okay, good. Awesome.
And the next event on our calendar is our next board meeting in 2 weeks. It is on a Monday this time, March 18th. So thank God St. Patrick's Day was on a Sunday. Otherwise, we'd have to move the board meeting. It'd be terrible.
Oh.
But anyway, then we go into spring break, March 25th through 29th, and then all the events leading up to the end of school year start. So fun times for everybody. Any other comments, questions, or motions?
Yeah, I moved that we get out of here.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
We're adjourned. Gavel.